And I think we are rolling.
I think we're rolling.
Let us see if the good times are rolling.
Let's see if the good times are rolling. Do 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 do. Do 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 do.
I don't know why this is showing this, so I might have an issue seeing what's going on in the chat.
Yeah, I know.
Hi guys. Hi. Hello, hello, hello.
Says something's wrong with chat here, you guys. It's just not even, it just shows the monkey with the hammer. And that makes me sad because...
Oh, can we bring it up over there, Sri?
Yeah, over here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see. Who do we have here?
Well, I don't know.
Excellent connection. So hopefully somebody's hearing us out there.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see.
There we go. I see 16 concurrent viewers.
Oh, we got 16 people.
That's awesome.
Okay. Let's go here.
I'm switching over. Xenomorphet looks like
yay!
our first.
Yay.
Good morning. Vildan. Places you can't go. Howdy, howdy. Jerry Hayes. Good morning, Jerry. It's been a while.
Okay.
Luke Kibbles.
Oh,
stock market crash. Yeah. And meanwhile, basically Bitcoin heading to the moon. So yeah, interesting
There's
times.
John Erickson. Hi.
John Erickson in the house.
There he is. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I had to go over here and do something with you got my ear. Okay. I'll try to pay attention over here because it's a little distracting, guys.
Well, as always, guys, we thank you. We couldn't do things without you guys. It'd be very lonely without you, of course. And man, we've been doing this for 8 years. So it is a blessing. Absolutely a blessing. Technology could be a blessing, and it could be a dangerous curse as well in some ways. So we have a lot going on. A lot of weirdness. A lot of glitchiness. We touched on that yesterday, saying, why with all the upgrades, why with the FIVG, etc., 6G, 7G, whatever that's going to look like. And I know there's been things written on that. Why do we have so much disruption? I mean, we do all the time. Things just spin. Sometimes things just seem like they're actually getting worse technologically, whether it's planned obsolescence or whether it's something else. Mr. MBB yesterday posted a video, and part of what he was talking about was the axial seamount, which we've talked about before, and we're going to talk about it again, the possibility of a big volcanic eruption there. Again, scientists don't think it's anything to worry about as far as the axial seamount volcano causing a mega tsunami. But a replay of 1700 with a great Cascadian quake of 9.0 or better, that's something to be aware of and concerned with when the scientists will tell you it is kind of overdue. I do believe that was kind of, I feel pretty convinced that was when California actually became part of the North American plate. And that's something we've talked about too in other videos. But yeah, there's so much going on there. And then Mr. MBB's other part was all these people from around the world coming in with strange lights from the sky, and then lights, regular street lights in the house, all sorts of things malfunctioning and just flickering on and off. I will tell you that a lot of times when a spirit or an entity that is invisible to us with our naked eyes wants to get our attention, they'll do things like flickering lights on and off. Just saying.
Thank you, Frankie, for that. We appreciate it a lot. It usually always goes to something that keeps the house going, keeps us fed, keeps the pups fed, keeps the security system happy. We appreciate it. Every little bit helps. Thank you.
Yeah, you can see the boss is on the couch today back there.
Yeah, she's the boss.
The sassafrasa.
And then Where's Waldo is back there too. So he's having fun. So anyway, back to the lights and the flickering. It's been my experience, and it was the same vibe I had when I had a couple people come through. And one thing they would do, it's like they had just recently passed, so their energy was thicker. It was thicker. So they go into the light fixtures and they interrupt the connection, and that's where you get all these light blinky blinky blinky, because they're, oh, thank you so much, another one. Yes, that definitely helps. It helps. It goes to good places. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vildan.
And when I have experienced this, and I look inside the light and I look inside the orb, and I see it's interrupting that connection. So that's what the blinking has caused. And when I saw that video yesterday on MBB, it was the same type of feeling. It was the same type of vibe I got. Like these energies were in there and they were disrupting the lights. And to me, anybody who saw that, anybody who filmed that, and they were being spoken to by their star family. I do believe there's messages out there on a wide scale, or, really wide. And the other thing the spirits like to do is they like to do something I call piggybacking. Mm-hmm. So when someone receives a message and other star beings are out there and they're like, hey, I know that message is similar for my human, they will jump in there as well and send their vibrational information in there. So this could be worldwide, and then that allows them to then send the information out on video so we see it. So it's like a worldwide message. I hope I explained that correctly.
Yeah, well, I think you have gotten from the guides that there's a merging of the realms. I think, isn't that the term they used? They said there was a merging of the realms going on.
Well,
so think of different different densities coming closer together.
Mm-hmm. Well, we are going up, and we are kind of merging in with their realm. Our energy bodies are definitely getting stronger and thicker, and it was probably a month ago, maybe 5 weeks ago, I got the information in that we had a very large cosmic wind, and this cosmic wind was changing the planet's vibration, and in turn that's going to force our vibration to change. And I don't know about you guys, but we've felt so many strange pricklies on our bodies just at random times, and they're really strong pricklies too. It's not like a light, oh, it was just a wisp of hair. No, it's very pointed, and it's something that's very obvious. So we have that going on, and I do believe that our energy fields are getting thicker, they're getting stronger, and we are merging with these other types of beings, and it's just becoming more and more obvious. So the information that I'm not getting, that I'm wanting to remain open to, is like, what are they trying to tell us? If these flashes of light, they are coming, they are making themselves obvious, they are piggybacking so that they can reach millions and billions of people. What are they trying to say? So, I like to be very thoughtful about the way I go in and get that information, so I haven't sitting down and completely opened myself up to that yet.
Before we move forward, Mama Bear has been with us for a very long time, and Mama Bear has been going through some health issues, and she says, hey, good day, Michael and Cindy, so good to see you too. Been going through serious health issues. Aorta had a huge aneurysm that's been isolated, have stents now mapping to all major organs, still have 3 tiny ones on my liver, and a lung issue. Please pray for her. Thank you, and many thanks for all the years of your knowledge sharing with us. Peace and love to all. So if we could all send Mama Bear some healing energy. When you visualize the energy going to her, you can visualize it as a crystalline energy, like a crystalline white. That's usually the safest thing to do if you're not familiar with energy work. Just see her covered in that, because actually the white light contains everything. It contains all the different frequencies, so the energy body could take whatever it needs and then let go of whatever it doesn't need.
Mm-hmm. It will. I mean, that's some pretty serious things, and we definitely cannot give medical advice. But if you are doing your best to work through problems as they come, and then kind of isolate yourself if you need to from any external trauma, that gets important to sometimes with people's energy sensitivity. So you could be getting more sensitive to energy, and you just have to be mindful of what you surround yourself with. I can't express the importance of that. So
Yeah, absolutely. Years back, it was quite a few years back. I want to say around 2019, because I think it was before the whole plague upon the land thing. There was a few articles that were coming out that were showing that the placebo effect was growing in its efficiency. In fact, the placebo effect many times, if not most times, outperforming the actual quote unquote cures. And that's so telling, because it tells us that we're coming into a different era, a different age. And when you then start to know that it's really you, it's all about you and your intention, setting your intention that you are going to heal, that you're going to recover from this. When you, and the guides wanted us to, they came across just in the last week, which I know we shared once before, I think, maybe twice. Talk to the cells in your body. It might sound crazy, but each cell in your body is an individual unit of consciousness, just like you are, in the earth. So you're a cell in the body of the earth, and how you choose to act, and the energy that you choose to put off, that really affects the earth. And so it's the same thing. Talk in a positive manner to the cells of the body, and tell them, that you're there for them, that we are healing, we're going to become the best version of ourselves. It's so important. This is where, in so many ways, my view, that's the way we do things in modern MED, CINE, et cetera, is so off, in that, if you put out this terminal prognosis, it's so much like dark magic, because again, if you trust and totally believe in somebody and trust somebody and think they know more than you do, then that could be a self-fulfilling prophecy. Or not all prophecies either self-fulfilling, or we reject them and say, no, we could do better.
Mm-hmm. That's right. The words are so critical. They're critical, what we tell ourselves. And I'm still catching myself to this day saying bad things, because I get frustrated with myself. Who doesn't? I get so frustrated with myself, because logically I want to think one way, but trauma has me thinking another way. And then I end up hurting myself, or I hurt other people. I mean, it's really this scattered communication that we have with several different aspects of ourselves that we need to heal. Each one individually needs to heal. So yeah, your words really, they matter. But I also understand the frustration.
Xenomorphet, our own beloved Xenomorphet, says, you are actually God to your cells. Think about that. I don't think there could be any truer statement than that. You are actually God to yourselves. That's so huge. That's such a huge statement. So, again, the sky is really the limit. Now that we've come out of the Kali Yuga, do we have to go through perhaps some of the most dangerous times? Yeah, it's going to be a bumpy road, because, again, the system doesn't want to give up power. When you have something that is so self-centered and so greedy, and yet, on the whole, where we're heading is to this understanding of the oneness of all things, that everything is interconnected, that the behavior that we've had on the planet is truly self-destructive. It's going to change. Our paradigms are changing and shifting. I think, like with the lights going on and off that Mr. MBB's followers are sending him in a lot of videos, I think a lot of that is Could it be glitches? Yeah, because again, our frequency, as was said in chat, is in many cases kind of short-circuiting things as we go by them. We might not view technology as being dark, and it doesn't really have to be. Yet at the same time, I don't think we'll find this technology in a higher, like a silver age, golden age. The technology will be different. I think one of the things to realize is, what do we see with the highest technology that's evidenced on the planet? Because it's not the technology we have now. When you look at how they build some of the megaliths, and then the people that came along later found them, after the civilizations that made them were long gone, they can't duplicate it. It's because what we learn to do is much more like magic in the higher ages. So we don't need all this, and that's might sound a little pie in the sky, but it's not. When you start to understand how to manipulate the time-space continuum, and how everything around you is really all waiting for you to tell it what to do. This is the reality of the world. And yet what have we been trained to do? To give away our power.
We have been trained to give away our power, so much so. It's just something that we do it naturally. We definitely do it naturally. So let's not do that anymore. Let's do something different. So, I think that's going to take some practice.
Yeah. So Cindy's going to run off for a second. You guys got me.
You guys are stuck with Mike for a
She's
sec.
got to go.
Hold on.
Run off for a sec. So what I want to get across too is how all these signs of the age, the switching of the ages, is so evident in so many ways. This is particularly evident. I do think, again, so much of our star family is out there wanting to get our attention, and they're trying to do whatever they can do that they're allowed to do without interfering with our free will, to let us know we're not alone. Oh man, it was a couple of years back. Do you guys remember when there was these messages coming through certain channels? And I don't mean channeled. I mean literally popping up on TV screens, computer screens, phone screens, saying, "We are here with you." That's the type of thing that they want to get across. We're not alone at the changing of the yugas, and yes, unfortunately, we've been at the control of the system, the dark matrix within the natural matrix, which does not have our best intentions in mind, and now we're realizing that. The big revelation that's come out, one of them, is that Sleepy Joe, he wasn't really doing anything. Now, most of us knew that. He wasn't making any decisions. He wasn't, competent enough. So what you have is the thought that, well, it must be the ones that came before him, Barry O and HRC and Bill. They must have been really running the show incognito. But again, they're all basically actors in this big drama. That's all for human consumption. That's all basically to control the narrative, because they don't want you understanding that, again, who's in a bigger position of authority? The heads of the financial system, or the political leadership of the planet? The political leadership of the planet is really, again, more for show, as we got from that famous Red Shield, that quote that, "I don't care what puppet's on the throne, as long as I control the money supply, I control everything."
Yeah, they're going to do that, and they're going to do that for as long as we let them. So I think it's about regaining our sovereignty. So important. Even that word is getting dropped out of the mass vocabulary. It's being dropped. There's several words being dropped, and I want to do a whole video on that, because a very dear friend, pointed that out to me, and it's a big deal. So with the AI that we have going, they are dropping out certain words that are critical. And thank you, Jen.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you. It goes to a good cause, I promise. So there are several words that are deliberately being dropped out of our vocabulary. Integrity being one of them. I mean, integrity, that's an important word to me. Everything I do, I try to bring integrity to it, and I try to bring the best understanding possible, and I try to go within and learn things to the best of my ability before I present them out into the world. I mean, that word integrity is kind of like, it's everything. It's like syntropy. You know, it's the coming together, it's the rebuilding, it's the renewal. So I want to do a video on all of these words that are deliberately being dropped out of the AI chats. And that AI chat, I think it's a useful tool, and it can be good for things like, I don't know, comparing prices. God knows we all need to work on comparing prices because things are so expensive. It's a good tool, you know, not to go beyond, because I think the reflective nature of it, how it's mimicking humans, it's not a good thing. That's where the creepy factor really steps in my humble opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. So sovereignty, Joffrey, who's been with us forever, says sovereignty was Steve from WSO's biggest word he used all the time. Yeah, Steve and Dave Dobbs, you know, we've had conversations with them. We've done lives, you know, too, many years back when we were all talking about Nibiru a little bit more, and Planet X, and, you know, again, that connection, this is what I was trying to get across. You know what's going to be adopted in crypto, you know, for instance. You know what's going to come, because just look for the X. That's all you got to know. You know, why did Elon switch to, you know, from Twitter to X? Says it all. You know, I mean, everything is really right in front of us all the time to decipher. You know, again, the guides have said, you know, crypto is the next phase that they go into. So you know it's coming, and yet we work to try to get outside of the system. You have people like Richard Hart, Pulse Chain, which is a small little DEX, you know, trying to set up something that could be independent. It's not easy to be independent of the system when the system controls everything. You have homesteaders. There's so many homesteaders that have just done amazing things, and you know, gosh, you know, we've followed so many of them, like Justin Rhodes, who lost half of his farm pretty much in the storm that came and went through northern, you know, western North Carolina, the hurricane that came through Tennessee, North Carolina, that was so devastating. So people like Justin Rhodes, for instance, so many other ones, Sow the Land, you know, he's also in that area, and I forget the nice couple with like 6 kids now.
Yeah, I forgot their name too. They have a lot of kids.
Holler Homestead.
Yeah.
You know, they're all in that area, and that area experienced perhaps the worst natural disaster that we've seen in our times here in the U.S. I don't think there's coincidences. There's never coincidences. Yeah, there's reasons for everything, because, you know, again, the system wants us dependent on the system. Human ability is going to go through the roof. It's going to skyrocket. It already is. And, you know, if you're feeling sleepy and tired and lethargic, take the time to give yourself a time to rest. If you could take a nap, take a nap. If you just could take 5 minutes and you're at work or whatever, to go out to your car, and or even just sit at your desk, close your eyes, focus on your breath and ground, and draw in energy from the earth and also from the cosmos. Work on your meditation, your yoga, your Tai Chi, your Qigong every day. It's imperative. There's so many downloads coming in right now. You know, I really do think, again, somebody that would have to spend years to become proficient at one of these endeavors, like, you know, Qigong, Reiki, Pranic healing, things like that. Now you could probably accomplish in just a matter of weeks what would have taken years, if not decades, of practice, because this is how rapidly we're changing. We are really, truly changing and evolving. These are the most exciting times to live in. They truly, truly are.
Mm-hmm. You know, I just want to take a second to say thank you to our moderators, you know, Morfett. Thank you to Nicole. Thank you to Ginger Albrecht, the Florida Outdoorsman, Unicorn Purple. DJ's not here. Oh, there he is. There's DJ. Thank you, DJ. You guys are all amazing, and you help keep the room a really high vibrational place, and it's so appreciated. You don't know. And people come here to heal and to feel safe and to discuss things that are outside the normal realms and can get attacked easy. So you guys really keep it going. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we couldn't do it without you guys, and we love being on the road. We love visiting, and you know, that's so much fun, and we might be in the position to do a little bit of that down the line. So much of it depends on the big lug on the couch. You know,
that's the little lug.
That's the little lug. Oh, on the chair over here.
Sita's having leash, well, we're doing Be Nice to People classes, and we're having How to Walk on a Leash class, and we try to do that a couple times a week because it's a challenge for her.
When they were puppies and we were training, walking them, now Cindy's had surgeries on one leg, on one knee multiple times in the past. And then Sita just decided to bolt, which, you know, I don't know what they were, maybe 9-10 months. And she bolted and dragged Cindy down, and it tore her LCL. So it took her almost a year to get her mobility back in her knee. So
that was painful.
That was painful, and that has inhibited us from moving about. We love to get out and to get around, and you know, the travel trailer is right in the yard, and it's in mint shape. So yeah, we've been debating whether we end up selling it or you know, revitalize it and use it again.
Well, we like to go camping, so it's up to Sita, and it's up to us to get out there more often and get her trained and get her you know, nicer to people. She's truly a guard dog, and I appreciate that because that's what we got her for. We needed help, you know, and now we have a nice system, and we have 2 beautiful pups that keep us safe. And you know, safety is definitely a thing in this house. It shouldn't be, but it is. And this is just the world we live in. So Sita she's definitely just doing her job, and God knows I am so attached to that girl, and she's attached to me too. She's kind of attached to me at the hip everywhere I go. There she is. And those Dobermans, I never knew that they were so good at their job, but that's what they were bred for. I learned that they were actually bred by the government to keep those tax collectors safe, and they do. They stay right by your side, and they watch your every move, and they also watch the move of the other person. So if the other person makes a fast move or something, they're on it. They are watching, or they are guarding, they are protecting. So you really have to be in the know before you get a Doberman, in my opinion. But that's what they're bred for. So we're just doing our best to, you know, get her adjusted so that she's really reactive. So we're just working on her. She's a good girl, though.
So let me read you this, because this is talking about that volcano. It says, California's nearest active undersea volcano is about to erupt. Mysterious and highly active undersea volcano off the Pacific coast could erupt by the end of this year. Wow, that's interesting timing with everything going on. Nearly a mile deep and 700 miles northwest of San Francisco, a volcano known as axial seamounts, drawing increasing scrutiny from scientists who only discovered its existence in the 80s. Located in a darkened part of northeastern Pacific Ocean, the submarine volcano has erupted 3 times since its discovery in 98, 2011, and 2015, according to Bill Chadwick, a research associate at Oregon State University, expert on the volcano. Fortunately for residents of California, Oregon, and Washington, it doesn't erupt explosively. So they say 0 risk of tsunami from that. Mount St. Helens, Mount Rainier, Mount Hood, Crater Lake, those kind of volcanoes have a lot more gas, a lot more explosive in general. The magma is more viscous. Axial is more like the volcanoes in Hawaii and Iceland. Less gas. The lava is very fluid, so the gas can go out without exploding. Destructive force of explosive eruptions legendary, like Mount Vesuvius, 79 AD, wiped out the ancient Roman city of Pompeii. When Mount St. Helens erupted in 1980, I remember that. Do you guys remember that? I know there's some of you that do. 57 people died, and we might forget that. And when Tonga went, that was 2022, once in a century event. The resulting tsunami, which reached a maximum height of 72 feet, caused damage all across Pacific, and of course caused deaths as well. Now, the 9.0 quake, superquake on the Cascadian subduction zone, that is overdue according to the scientists again. That is a problem because, when that went, we do have records of Native Americans that were in that area that tell us it wiped out whole villages. It wiped out entire villages. And when you look to how many quakes happen along the Pacific coast, it's really truly disproportionate to the rest of the earth. Sure, it's on the Ring of Fire, but there's just so many. It's kind of like the bell is still ringing from that huge event back in 1700. I think again that is really what we are looking at, is the fact that was a huge event. And then you could add to it the big event that happened in the Younger Dryas period with the Younger Dryas period extinction, that left pockmarked craters, thousands, tens of thousands of them, all around the U.S. And particularly they're called, again, Carolina Bays for a reason. They were along the eastern seacoast, and there's a lot of them in the Carolinas, but also there's a lot of them heading over, towards Iowa, Nebraska, and in that area as well. Something, they'll say it was an asteroid that came in, or even a comet that came in and exploded into all these small pieces. But what we get is that it was that event that we remember as the Great Flood, and also coincides with the Sumerian stories talking about Enlil thinking there's too many humans, they're too noisy. So again, the bigger picture, what's really going on? That when we talk about it's about ready to blow, you have that type of thing. Now, if Cindy even remembers, she had gotten from the guides a vision that the timing wasn't right years wise, but the sequence of events still could be right, in that she saw volcanic activity in the Pacific Northwest, and then that's when the U.S. is actually invaded. Now, timelines change. I do think there's certain things that we could change. I think we could really, really lessen things. There's some things I wonder if we could stop entirely, or that if they have to happen. And, again, whether something is understood and known of, so you move people out of the way, or you at least have people prepared for something to happen, so that when it does happen, the damage is nowhere near as intense.
Yeah, I
you
mean,
remember that vision?
There's a time thing going on when it comes to moving from the dark Kali Yuga into the Dwapara. There is a time shift, and how much of that time shift is going to affect the events? Probably a lot, way more than we think. And there's energies in time space that we have not been we're CERN knows a lot of stuff, and they're simply not going to tell us, because as long as they know all of the things that are going on between the yugas, they're always going to have an advantage, as long as they hold that information close and sacred, and we're still behind this veil that's still dark. I mean, it could be darker, but thank gosh it's getting a little bit lighter, so we have a little more information. We're going to be kind of stuck where we're at. We're going to have to do the best with what we've got, and that means relying on each other, knowing that we're all kind of sort of in the same boat, and being understanding and kind where we can. And when in doubt, be kind. Always. So if you're dealing with some things in life, just whatever you do, just do your best to be kind, and we'll all get through it together, because it's that type of light that's going to help us surpass this darkness. Now, I'm not saying that we shouldn't ever deal with our dark things. You cannot stick your head in the sand. That's not an option. But definitely work on your traumas and work on yourself, and keep in mind, if you're pointing the finger at somebody else, there's actually 3 or 4 pointing back at you, depending on how you point. So keep that in mind.
So I see Kenley in the chat room is saying, yes, energy drained. Out of nowhere comes sudden exhaustion. I feel the EMF has much interference with our energy field. Totally agree. You know, and what I'll equate it to was like years ago when I was working on people energetically, as I've been doing energy work for many years, and as we've shared, we've worked on thousands of people all over the world. Again, distance doesn't matter, but when I was working on people in more of an office setting, in between people, I would lie down, and then I would feel the guides working on me and clearing my energy field as I had been clearing other people's energy field. And what I feel now is very similar to that. I do think when you feel that exhaustion, part of it is certainly that we're bathed in these EMF fields, which are not really healthy. And there's a lot for us to shed and get rid of. But then part of it too is the ascension process. And this is exactly what they do. I mean, they know there's going to be something naturally happening, and then they kind of piggyback it with artificial. And what it leads to is this overwhelmed feeling, like you're so exhausted, you feel like you could collapse. Again, take the time, whether it's just closing your eyes for a moment, ground and root, attach the soles of your feet into the earth, and then allow the crown chakra to open up, and with your inhale, draw in the heavenly energy from the cosmos, and then ground and root yourself to the earth. Just inhale, exhale, out into the earth. That alone can help tremendously, because people need to be grounding, rooting. You need to be allowing your energy body to purge itself. That's a huge part of what's going on.
And today I did bring a ding. We are going to do a ding at the end. So I want everyone to think of something happy.
So you got, obviously, the possibility of volcanic and massive earthquake activity going on the planet. Mother Earth is going to clean herself. She has to clean herself of all this filth. The Kali Yuga is, energetically the darkest energies that we're ever exposed to. So she's going to have to clean herself, absolutely. And at the same time, we see the modification going on. And it's obvious, the ticker, the TikTok patterns up in the sky, and we see the planes, and sometimes it's drones. Again, that's only one part of it. There's so many different layers to this. What will it look like? I think people think it's going to look like 2012, and there's, if you're not at 10,000 feet altitude, you're not going to make it through. We don't see that at all. I think, look to nature. When the animals sense something's coming, they leave an area. After it's done, they come back to the area. That we could be, like that, where we get the signals. You're part of the earth. The disconnect from the earth. Again, when you look to the religious systems, why, in the Abrahamic traditions, is there not this preeminence of the divine feminine? It's all masculine. It's imbalance, and the divine feminine side of it would connect you to nature, and they don't want you connected to nature, because then you'll also be like the animals. You'll have that knowing and that second sight, where something's going to happen, and you're able to avoid the consequences.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Nature is reactive in its own way, but it reacts out of a natural sequence.
So we have that going on, and we also have, obviously, the economic situation going on. You have, basically the fear that we're going to have an economic collapse because, again, there has to be a changeover of the monetary system. That's been telegraphed forever. And, you have the EU moving ahead with their things. You have, Bitcoin might hit its all-time record high in the next day or two. It's very close to it. You have the rise of stable coins. You have the fighting going on with the tariffs and, that situation. Then you have the left-right thing that's happening. You have a couple of Democrats, literally being arrested because of protests and getting involved in ICE issues, border issues. It's also explosive. Yet the one thing they don't want you focusing on is raising your frequency, and that's the thing that changes things the fastest. It's how do we react to these things, because these things have to come and pass. But it's about focusing a little bit more on keeping ourselves in a safe place during these transitional times, and yet looking forward to being out of the effects of a Kali Yuga. And what does it look like when you head into a Bronze Age, when we have full disclosure, which again, it's already been disclosed, really. You'd have to kind of be trying to purposely ignore it to not see that disclosures already happen.
We have this system that we're working with, and the monetary system is changing, and I don't see really any way around it unless you're already completely set up, and then still, even if you own your property, you still have to pay taxes. So I think it's good to understand the monetary system to the best of your ability and make sure that when they do these changes, you're going to be flexible enough to move the way you need to move to make sure basic things are covered, because I do see them pulling the rug out from underneath a lot of people. And if you're diversified in a good way, you're going to have other pots to grab from. So I think that's just something that should be a little bit of a focus, because I do feel that change is coming closer.
It is. I do think the economic rug pull is more than likely this year. Yet will they be able to instigate that World War III? It's one of their last cards. They want to hold on to it until it serves them best. At the same time, I think that is their ultimate undoing, because people will say, no, we know what you're doing. All wars are banker wars. All wars are for profit and control. So when they do that, then they're ultimately bringing about their own demise, because you do have prophecies that talk about France and Russia, for instance, in these times rising up and throwing out the leaders and the system. That's happened so many times, really, in just the last 1,000 years. But this time it'll be a little different, because again, that realization that we're not alone, that everything is not as it seems. It's all been an illusion, like Sleepy Joe actually making a decision, besides which depends to use today.
Yep.
It's pretty accurate. Speaking on that note, Fartcoin is up. Just kidding.
Yay, go Fartcoin.
I mean, figure that, Fartcoin. Well, the dollar's worth 3 cents now, in relation to looking at things in the past, and of course it's tied to the petrodollar, which is being basically it's being relicked. And so times are changing. There's diversification coming on, and you have the BRICS nations and that group brought up to be a counterweight. At the same time, we know we're heading towards some sort of digital currency. But at the same time, gold and silver have never been worth more. And the real value of gold and silver, again, according to some experts, silver, even though it might be trading at $32 an ounce, is really valued by some experts at about $2,000 an ounce. and gold at $40,000. You might see $10,000 gold by the end of the year. And if they peg the financial system to gold, like a gold-backed crypto of some sort, gold-backed CBDC, stablecoin, it's going to be a different system.
Mm-hmm. It's going to change. And Unicorn Purple says, think of all the crystals in Earth holding the library of our history. Mama Gaia can help you. You're a member. Remember who you are and why you're here. She knows who we are and soul contracts. So definitely keep that in mind. And I have some amazing crystals, and we'll be doing different things when we come on live, like patterning and maybe the gong and the bowl and stuff like that. So these crystals are just out of this world, quite literally.
And we invite you all to join us on Patreon as well. Exclusive videos up there each week. And Cindy's going to give us a gong on, a ding.
It's a ding.
Okay.
Maybe next time a gong.
We'll send some energy here to all you guys. May you all be blessed, happy, healthy, and free.
Okay. Have happy thoughts and drink lots of water the rest of the day.
Much love, you guys. We couldn't do it without you guys, and we're so grateful for you being here. Source bless and namaste.
Namaste.